Welcome to this fine motor demonstration. After many years of teaching preschool and elementary school, what I discovered is the area of weakness, if you're going to have one for preschoolers or young children, is in the fine motor development skill set. And that is anything that uses the hands or the pinching motion, the fingers, anything that has small object that a child has to use their hands to grasp or manipulate. So in that process of learning that fine motor skills tend to be the weaker area, I created all these take-home bags to rotate through my classroom. But because we're not rotating with COVID, I decided to share them with you here as a demonstration. You'll get the hang of how to do this, and you'll probably create your own bags and your own activities. And you can Pinterest preschool fine motor activities. There's thousands of ideas there. But I just wanted to share with you the bags that I've created and maybe encourage you to create some on your own for your child to use at home. One of the first things I want to tell you, though, is there's lots of tools that are used in the fine motor bags. And a parent a long time ago who used my bags told me that she connected all of the tools onto a giant bin so that scissors couldn't sneak upstairs under a bed and cut hair or cut baby doll's hair or paper or curtains or whatever. So I would recommend that any of the tools that you use, you somehow affix them onto a plastic bin so that then the bin can be put up. And then when you bring the bin down for their fine motor play, any of the objects that they're cutting or using the tools for can go straight into the bin. Easy cleanup too. So let me run through some of the bags with you, and I'll share with you sort of the motivation of why we use the bags. This first bag is called the Q-tip shape, and you can see I have a picture of a child doing the activity. So this is a bag that has a container that has small holes in the top and some Q-tips. And what you'll want to watch for is, can your child use the pincher grip? That's the grip between the thumb and the pointer finger. Can they pinch? Can they get the Q-tip into the hole? Those kinds of things. Take a moment to check to see which hand your child is using, which hand is dominant for them. It might be different for them to write versus what they use with their scissors. So keep watching. Don't ever push one direction. Let the child gravitate to the one that feels most natural. Eventually, one hand will typically choose. You can do things like counting. You can count the Q-tips as you put them in. You can line them up end to end and count them with 1 to 1. 1 to 1 means pointing and counting for each object, giving each object an opportunity to have an identity. So 1, 2, that's 1 to 1. And then ask your child, what else could we do with these Q-tips? What else could we do with this toy? It could become a shaker. It could become a toy for their baby. I don't know. So always the question I asked after we would play with an item is, what else could we do with it? That's always a good question. It's an open-ended question, and it gives the child some independence and some ability to give their own ideas. Along that same line, you're going to see this kind of activity again and again and again. I have a small container and these are sparkly pom-poms. And just a simple tweezer from your bathroom. So here is, I'm not sure you're going to be able to see this. Can your child pick up the pom-pom with a tweezer, and can they get it into the little, can they get it into the little cup? This is a medicine bottle, old medicine bottle. So again, you're looking at which hand are they using? Can they sort the pom-poms by color? Do they have a favorite color? Can they count the pom-poms? Oh, and it looks like someone added a little block. So maybe you can add something different into the cup. And this one makes a different sound when it drops in. It makes a sound versus the pom-pom, which is quiet. So lots of open-ended questions with all the bags. This one's called Q-tip shapes. And I've just simply drawn some shapes with broken lines. And so I'm not sure if you can see that. So here are the pictures of the Q-tips placed on the shapes. And then of course we always have a space for kids to make their own shape. And they could create a house with the Q-tips. So can they line them up on the line? Can they count them? Are they using their pincher grip? Which hand are they using? Again, so this would go here on the triangle. This is called a horizontal line. This is called a slant. This is called a vertical. We always use those words at school. Can they name the shapes? Can they make a different shape? Can they create their own shape? Can they count the sides? Can they count the corners? All kinds of open-ended questions to go with this game. This one is called Toothpick Patterning. I have these plastic toothpicks. And just a piece of styrofoam. So can they make a pattern? Blue, yellow, blue, yellow. What comes next? Blue, yellow, blue, yellow. What comes next? Blue, yes. Can they count them? Do they use a pincher grip? Which hand do they use? Can they add some more? Maybe you'll change the pattern. This can be something you do with your child. This can be a pattern that they create that then you recreate. Can they get them into the styrofoam? It takes a little bit of strength, and that's important to build that strength so that we can use proper technique with writing and cutting. Can they sort the picks just by color? Can they put all the red ones together and all the yellow ones together? Maybe you have multiple kinds of toothpicks. Maybe some have hearts and sometimes some of them have stars. Can they sort them by color? Can they sort them by shape? Maybe you have wooden toothpicks and plastic toothpicks. Can they sort those by materials? Can they copy this simple pattern? An A-B pattern, an A-B-C pattern. Let's try this one. This is called an AAB, AAB. You get it? Blue, blue, C, blue, blue, yellow, blue, blue, yellow. Can they extend that pattern? Can they extend something you start? Can you extend something that they start? Sometimes that's tricky. Can they tell you what the pattern is? Red, red, yellow. Can they create their own? Lots of fun creations. It's also very fun to stick into the styrofoam. Okay, so this one's super fun. I'm not sure I have a scissor. I do. This is called Straws on a Shoestring. And you can see the picture here. Straws on a shoestring. But the best fun of this is, and I'll tell you why it's so fun. And kids love this. So just a plain pair of preschool scissors. When you cut a straw, it makes this super cool popping sound. And it pops and then it pops away from them. So it's very fun. So after you let them chop a bunch of plastic straws, which is just super fun, into a bucket. Aha, there's that bucket again. Then can they get them on a shoestring? Shoestrings are nice because they have that kind of plastic sharper edge on the end for them to slide in. Can they pattern with this? Can they count them as they go? This can become a necklace. They can give it to grandma. Lots of fun things. Always wise to put a knot at the end, though. Otherwise, it's frustrating because it slides right off. So super fun. Cutting is always the precursor to writing, even though we teach it backwards, typically at home and even in school, because you're trying to strengthen this These muscles right in here, the scissor skills are the best to do that with because it pulls this muscle, which is the muscle that you use then to write and hold the pencil correctly. So scissors, 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 all kinds of play with scissors. And cutting plastic straws is just super fun. Oh, this is very fun. I'm going to say that a lot. Okay, so I have some simple bean bags and a metal pan. This is called the bean bag pancake. And I have this giant, huge spatula. Here it is. What are you looking for? Can they flip the bean? Oops. Can they scoop the bean bag? Can they flip the bean bag? Can they scoop it? Go straight up. Oh, I actually flipped it in the air. Which hand are they using? Can you count how many times they get it up and then back onto the tray? How many? You can scoop them from a table onto the tray. You can count how many get on. See if they can switch and use their other hand. It's very hard for me to use my left hand. Stick my tongue out to get it onto the tray. Is it easier or harder if you stand up? If you back away, can you put the tray further away, and can you scoop the beanbag onto a tray that's 2 feet in front of you? How many can you make in a row? How many can Dad make in a row? Lots of fun counting, sorting. I have lots of different colored beanbags in here, and so you can sort by color. You can count. Lots of fun stuff. Always be asking, what else could we do with it? They'll come up with ideas, I promise you. This one is called the button snake, and this is simply felt squares with a hole in them with a ribbon connected to a button. I'll show it to you. Super easy to make. And I put a little silly face on mine. Oops, my button has been removed. Button is good because it keeps it on. So we'll pretend the button is down here at the end. So then can they feed more into the snake like this? Can they, that's why the button's good. Tie a button on the end. Can they get it into the hole? Which hand are they using? Can they sort the colors? Can they count the squares? Can they make a pattern with this? Which hand is holding the square and which hand is holding the snake? Which hand is holding, or the thread? Can you do it in a different way? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I could, but your kids will come up with ideas. And so after they get it all on, they end up with this very funny snake of different colors that they can stretch and pull and maybe even tease the kitty with. I don't know. So lots of fun squares to do button snaking. This next one uses pipe cleaners, and sometimes I use the green plastic containers that tomatoes or strawberries come into that have the holes. But you can also buy these. I don't even know what they're for. I got everything in this bag from the dollar store. But anything that has little tiny holes that you can use the pipe cleaner through the little holes. A strainer works. You can get a giant strainer. These are super cool in a strainer because you can twist them and angle them and stick them up, and they can do these really fun patterns. And a strainer then could become your centerpiece on your dining room table. What hand do they use? Can they get that pincher grip to push it down into the hole? Can they sort by color? Can they tell you the names of the colors? Do they like this activity? Do they not like this activity? Could they do it different? Anyhow, kind of fun. Basket weaving, preschool style. Oh, this one's fun. So I don't have any golfers at my house. Maybe you have golfers. If not, maybe Grandpa is a golfer. But there's these fun golf tees, and again, styrofoam. Keep that styrofoam from all those Amazon packages. stick the golf tee into the styrofoam, and then get a marble and see if they can balance the marble. See if they're using a pincher grip with their pointer or a pincher grip with their ring finger or middle finger, or a pincher grip with their ring finger. Can they do all of the pinching grips? Can they get them in a line? Can they make a pattern? Right now I only have white marbles, but you could get different colored marbles and use patterns. You can count them. Can they balance it up there without it falling off? That's kind of tricky for preschoolers. Again, could they do it something different? Could they set it up to do it? Does that make it easier or harder? Can they keep the marble on? If the golf tee is on the side, it won't stay on. So they'll have to figure out how do you think we can make it so that the marble stays on the golf tee? Good problem solving in this one. That one's called the marble balance. Oh, here's one of those, another basket weaving, but here's one of those plastic things I was talking about. And for this basket weaving, you don't have to use pipe cleaners. You can just use ribbons or shoelaces or leftover. This is a piece of elastic. And these are kind of fun because you can go in and out. You can talk about in, out, in, out. That's another pattern in life, in and out. You can weave all around. We do this at school in our dramatic play, and we call it a spider web. And I use different fabrics that we go in and out of. And we become the little spiders making the web. And then you actually can attach little stuffed animals into this and pretend that you're catching their stuffed animals into your web. So in and out, in and out. This is basket weaving. Again, what hand are they using to weave the ribbons? Can they go in and out independently? Do they need a little help? Can they take it apart when they're done? That's almost trickier than putting it in sometimes. And how can they do it differently? How could we use this differently? How could we make this more fun? They might come up with many different answers for that one. I also have some really fun shoelaces. Shoelaces are really fun. These are like super short from little kids' shoes. The brighter the color and the more interesting, the more fun they'll have with it. Oh, this is another one of those pipe cleaners and strainers. You can see there's a pattern to all this. That's what I was telling you. Strainers and pipe cleaners. And these are kind of fun because you can lay them flat on the table to do them. They're not quite as hard to hold on to because they sit flat on the surface, except you can't see it, sorry. These holes are a little smaller than that other one that I was using, so this one is a little trickier. You can find materials that are smaller hold and larger hold, but you can see this one's just using a metal strainer, and there's the child's creation at the bottom. They're quite beautiful when they're done. Do they have an idea of a design in mind? That could be sort of your next step. The first time they just play with it, and then the next time you could say, could we make this look like a robot? And how would they function that? Maybe they would use pipe cleaners that, okay, gotta get an arm over here and arm over here, and how will we make their legs? Well, we'll have to get more pipe cleaners to make the legs, and then maybe some crazy eyeballs up on top. Do they use all the same color? Maybe they just want to do red ones. Can they tell you the names of the colors? Can they tell you a pattern? Do they leave some pipe cleaners just sticking out, or do they always put both ends in? Always keep in mind what your child is doing, how they're processing this tool. Then, can they take it apart? That's kind of a fun skill to learn and to watch. And it cleans things up. So now can you take your creation apart? Let's put it back in the bin. You can make cleanup fun, I promise. I do it every day. Again, how could we do this different? And if you have enough strainers, everybody at the dinner table could get one, and you could have a creation time after you eat. Okay, this is sticky yarn, and you have to get this at I don't think these are at the dollar store, but they're very, very fun. So there's these wax covered yarns. I think I got these at a Hobby Lobby or maybe an education store. And I've drawn some numbers on a piece of paper. And I've drawn some simple lines. Remember to always tell your child this is horizontal, this is vertical, this is a curve that closes, this is a vertical and a horizontal, this is vertical, vertical, horizontal, horizontal. This here is called a slant. Can you make your sticky yarn go on the slant? A triangle is 2 slants and 1 horizontal. It's backwards to you, sorry. A 1 is a vertical line straight from top to bottom. A 2 is a curve, a slant, and a horizontal. A 3 is 2 curves. Are you getting the point? And so you take the sticky yarn and you twist it so that it becomes a 6. I'll turn it the right way for you. 6. And you put it on the paper so that it matches the 6. Sticky yarn. And here is some children at play using the numbers, and some doing the shapes. That's the sticky yarn. Again, you're watching for what hand are they using. Do they recognize the colors? Do they recognize the numbers? This is a perfect way to start with recognizing. You can even just start with 1, 2, and 3 and see until they get master that. Then you can add some more numbers. Can they bend that yarn? It's kind of sticky. Can they match it on the board? Which hand are they using? Can they count the sticky yarns? Again, are you getting the hints? Sticky yarn fun. Okay, this is called Feed the Tennis Ball. Really fun. So it's just poker chips that I got at the thrift store. I think I got like 300 for 50 cents. Here's my tennis ball. And here's my tennis ball. Doesn't he look happy? This is called the tennis ball squeeze. And this tennis ball is really hungry. Can you feed him? Do you see these muscles that are working in there? You can feed him 1 chip. You can feed him 2 chips. You can feed him 3. I wonder how many we can get in. 4, 5, etc. Squeezing that tennis ball is tricky. It will take some practice. Help them to be patient. Which hand are they holding the tennis ball in? Can they switch hands? Is it easier with a different hand? Maybe. Which hand is stronger, do you think? Which hand feels better and stronger? Can they get the chips inside? Can they get the chips outside? That's even harder sometimes. You gotta squeeze and drop at the same time. It's tricky. And sometimes the chips get stuck in there. You've got to help them out. Tennis ball squeeze. There he is. You can add dice so that you can play this back and forth with a friend, a game, a dice or a color dice. Those are just simple wooden blocks that they've added colors and numbers to. And I do have 2 in here, so that they can each squeeze. Stickers, stickers, stickers. Stickers are so good because to get a sticker off of a piece of paper, you'd be surprised how difficult that is to peel back with one hand and find the edge and grab it with the other. Very tricky. So anytime you can use stickers, the better. Can they get the stickers off? That's the first question. And then I like to extend stickers. Like this. Can they place the stickers on the edge? This is called the perimeter. So we can say, can you get it on the edge? You can draw a shape on your paper. Can they put the stickers in a circle shape. And then they can take their scissors and try cutting on the stickers. So this is sort of like cutting using dot to dot. Can they name the shapes that you've drawn? That's really good practice, and you'll be surprised how quickly they learn their shapes through play. So can they put the stickers on the shapes? Can they count their shapes? Can they count the stickers that are on the shape? Which one has the most? Which one has the least? Most is the more number, and least is the smaller number. And also, when you're talking about scissors, we always use the phrase thumbs up so that they remember, because often preschoolers like to cut with their thumbs down, but you'll have much more control if you keep your thumb up. So I always tell the kids, get your thumbs up in the scissors. The next activity is called Bell in a Bottle. It's just an old water bottle. It has bells in it already. I'm going to take the bells out. Sorry, you can't see them. And then I have several different kinds of tools in this bag. I have a clothes clip. Very hard to do. This is that pinching mechanism, but it's a little more challenging than like the pipe cleaners. So can they pinch? Can they get the bell into the bottle? And I have this tiny little, I think this came out of like a Miracle Grow fertilizer. Can they scoop with a tiny little spoon? You can use an ice cream spoon, or you like those taster spoons. Can they pour them into the bottle? They might have to use their helper hand to scoop them up, to pour it in. Here is a hair clip, also another pinching mechanism. Can't see it. Can they scoop up the bell in the pincher and then release? It's a different motion, so give them ample practice. Can they count the bells? Can they put a lid on it and make it an instrument? Can they just use their fingers? If they're not quite ready for the clip or even the spoon, can they use their fingers to use that pointer grip? It's the same grip as using your pencil, so it's good practice to get it into the bottle. Cheerios work for this too, but I prefer the bells because they make a fun sound. Then you can say to them, so we have these 3 things that you used for the bells. Which one was the easiest for you? The spoon might be the easiest for them, or the hair clip, or this. You might be surprised what they say is the easiest. Then you can take turns. Let Mom try. Let Dad try. See which one they think is easiest. Bells in a bottle. Pipe cleaners. Make sure you go to the dollar store and get some pipe cleaners. This is called buttons on a pipe cleaner. These are very fancy ones. I don't have as fancy ones. So I have pipe cleaners. You can put yellow buttons on yellow pipe cleaners. You can do patterns. They're very easy to get onto a button. So here I already have a pattern. Flower, present, flower. Right. And maybe they want to do a different one. Maybe this one's going to have white. Ooh, this one's a little harder to get on. I have to really work. I have to pull with my hand. White, black. Let's see if I have another white. I can do that pattern. White, black, white. That pattern. Here's another one. Maybe I don't want to do a pattern on this. I just want to count them. 1, 2. Ooh, this one's really tiny holes. 3. Get a variety of buttons. That'll help them, and it keeps it interesting. Or you can use pony beads. Pony beads works too. Buttons on a pipe cleaner. What hand did they use? Can they count? Can they pattern? Can they sort the buttons? Can they string them on? Can they pull them off? Can they make 3 pipe cleaner's full, and then decide which one has the most buttons. They're going to have to count and then remember what that number is and then count again. Most and least, those are important words to use. This is called clip and count. I have just made these simple little creatures. There's a starfish. He has 5 points. There's a ladybug. This ladybug has 6 spots. Here's an octopus. He has 8 spots. And here's what you do with these. Kind of fun. Again, dollar store clips. So can you clip on each one of the spots? Easy, fun, good counting, good patterning. You can count while you're going. You can wait to count till after. Having one of these where they have to touch each clip helps with one-to-one. You can put the numbers on here. You probably can't see them on the screen, but I have the numerals written on here. Are they recognizing numerals? This is the number 1. Let's put the clip on the number 1 first. Can you find the number 2? That's right. The number 2 is right here. Can you find the number 3? Etc. Which animal has the most clips? Which animal has the least clips? Which animal do you like the best? Could we have a different animal? If you have a dog, how many clips would he have? How many legs does a dog have? So there's a picture. You can do simple shapes or you can do a little more complex. Okay, good old-fashioned geoboards went out in the 80s, I'm afraid. But muffin tins are at all the thrift stores and super fun. So get yourself a good muffin tin, cheap, and then use it as a geoboard with rubber bands. Get some big rubber bands, get some little rubber bands. So can they string it from one side to the next? You gotta hold on up here to get it on down here. Can they sort by color? Can they sort by size? Oops, that one broke. You can have a discussion about breaking rubber bands too. That happens. Anyhow, it's very fun once you get all the rubber bands on what it looks like. This one's a really small one, so that one may not be able to go on more than 2. That's hard. You have to pull, you have to use both hands on it. Can you pattern with a rubber band? Can you pull them on? What design did you make? Could you make a square using all the circles on the muffin tin? You'd have to have a big rubber band to do all, wouldn't you? So lots of questions. Can they sort? Can they count? Can they stretch and pull? I'm not sure you can see it. There's the kids pulling it around the muffin tin. Okay, here's another one that uses rubber bands. It's just a can of soup or vegetables. This is called the rubber band can. And just using rubber bands to get onto the can. You'd be surprised how difficult this is for kids. They have to pull, they have to maneuver around. Rubber band can. Can they sort? Can they count? What are the names of the colors? Can they use both hands to stretch? Can they do it with one hand? Ooh, that's a little trickier. They have to kind of twist and pull. Rubber band can. This is called Which Objects Go Through. It's kind of a silly thing. It's just the end of a tape dispenser. Or you can use a toilet roll tube. This is one that we cut. Or a paper towel tube. And then a whole bunch of objects in the bag. For instance, do you think this Lego can go through the toilet paper tube? Oh, you have to push it through. Oh, it did. How about through this one? Can it go through? Yes, it can. Can your hand go through? Can this piece of water noodle go through? It can. How about, do you think this water noodle can go through this tube? How can we find out? That's another great question. How can we find out? Oh, it can go through, but I'm going to have to really squish it and push it. Oh, how about this fork? Or a Q-tip, or a straw, or a noodle. I have all kinds of things. Here's an acorn. You can try rolling the things through the tube on the floor. Rolling them through. There's an acorn. There's a penny. There's a popsicle stick and another toothpick. Can you name each of these items? That vocabulary to use when you're playing with the games. This is an acorn. Can we get the acorn through the tube? So you're using identification, acorn. Can it go through? That's direction. So anytime you can extend their language, this is a tube. Can you get the acorn through the tube? Those kinds of things. Can you guess which objects go through? Can you tell, what is this used for? This is a fork. It's used for, and then let your child tell you what it's used for. Extend vocabulary and conversation. Always offer the opportunity for a child to guess first. Can I get this Buckeye through the tube? What do you think? Before we do it, let's think about it. The Buckeye looks like it's smaller. That's another word, that quantity. Do you think it will get through the tube? Let's check it out. Let's see. Were we right? Yes, it went through. How many objects can you get to go through? Can your race car go through the toilet tube? Let's go find out. You might want to go on a scavenger hunt after you've played and see if some of their toys can get through the object. So those are just through. You can get a keychain loop ring and see if will the fork go through the keychain loop. Marbles, pennies, paper clips, lots of home objects. This is called Tongs and Counters in the ice cube tray. That's quite creative, don't you think? So I've got a bunch of these erasers also from the dollar store, these little tiny erasers. I've got a kitchen set of tongs. Can they lift the erasers with the tongs? What hand are they using? Can they get them into the ice cube trays? So again, can they get one? Can they get it in? Can they sort all the school buses into one and all the rainbow stars into another? How about the apples? They could go in another cup. Can they sort? Ooh, I got a whole bunch. I'm not sure I can sort all of those. I got to get just one so that I can sort correctly. Here's a check plus. That goes here. Here's another check plus. I'm going to put that in the same place because I'm sorting. Here's a school bus. Goes with the other school bus. Oops. Here's the globe. Put that in a new spot. I don't have a spot for the globe yet. Here's another check plus. Oh, it's getting full. And then you can find out when they're all done, how many has the most? How can we find out? Well, we have to count them. We only have one apple, but we have 2 globes. We have 4 checks and 2 school buses. So the globe has 2 and the school buses have 2. So lots of sorting, counting, checking, pinchering, sorting, placing into separate spots. Oh, I like this one. This one's called Water Play. So I know that you all have bathtub toys, but this might be something just special for your fine motor play. Super fun squeezy bottles, also at the dollar store. This is fun for the kitchen sink. Eyedroppers, so good because it's that tiny pinching. They can lift up the water and dump it into their cups. This is good because it's squeezing, but it's like an easier squeeze. You can get pool noodles and cut them into little tiny pieces. Can they squeeze that bottle? Can they squeeze that pipe cleaner or pipette? What game can they make up with it? That's super fun too. You tell me the rules of this game. What can we do differently with it? Which hand are they using? So eyedroppers, medicine droppers. You can use, this is an ice cube tray and they've used colored water. That's kind of fun, but that's more mess than you need to. You can just use plain water. They can put it in the bathtub and play, or they can put it in the kitchen sink. Bubbles in it. Does that make it easier or harder? Probably harder. Okay, some more. This one's called Color Sort. And here's a picture of a clothespin that's painted orange. You can get colored clothespins at the dollar store. They're usually plastic. I have some cups. I have yellow, red, blue, and green. I'm probably not going to be able to see them on the screen. Sorry about that. And then I have the same colors of pom-poms. So I have a red clip, a red cup, and some red pom-poms in this bag. So the gist of this game is, can they use the red clip to pick up a red pom-pom and sort into the red cup? Can they find, my yellow clip is missing. Can they pick up can they use a green clip? And you can find all different kinds of shapes and sizes of clips. Can they use a green clip to pick up the green pom-pom and put it into the green cup? Now this pom-pom fills the cup. So what is going to happen when they get another pom-pom? There's another one in here. They have to shove it down maybe to get it to, to get into the cup. And maybe they will only be able to get one into this cup. The red cup they could get more into. Here's the red clip. You got to get a red pom-pom to sort into the red cup. Sorting, counting, when you're all done, which one had the most? How can we find out? That's called color sort. What hand are they using? Can they, pom-pom come in different sizes, right? So here we have a large pom-pom, a medium one, and a small one. And there actually is a smallest one. Small, smaller, smallest, large, larger, largest. Which hand are they using? Can they sort by size? Can they sort by coloring? All good questions to ask. So a lot of you have magnet letters, I know, but I found these magnet numbers at the dollar store in this tiny little tray. And I like this because I think we don't very often talk about numbers with preschoolers, but a lot of them are more interested in numbers than you think. So can they identify the numbers? Can they sort the numbers by color? These are by color. Can they sort by color like this? Put all the yellow ones. Which one has the most when they sort it? Can they sequence them in order? Can you find the number 1? Sorry, they're backwards for you. Can you find the number 2? Let's put them in a line from 1 to 4. Let's see if we can do it. I don't see the number 1. It might still be in the bag. Here it is. 1, 2. Let's see. Did Mrs. Gilliam do it right? Let's see. Then you can check me. So we can say, let's count. 1, 2, 3. Is that a 3? No, that's not a 3, Mrs. Gilliam. We have to correct that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And practice writing, putting them in order. This is a much higher level game. So after you've done the other games and you're getting bored, add the magnetic numbers. Can they tell you which one is bigger in the numbers? Is 7 bigger than 8? How do we find out? Well, no, 7's not bigger than 8. And we might use counters to tell. Okay, hole punching is also super fun and super hard. Here's a preschooler hole punching. I always recommend hole punching down into a cup, otherwise you make a mess, or down into your bin, because your hole punchers might be connected to the bin, so they can't punch anything that isn't in your bin. And so right on into the cup they go, right into the bin. This is a very hard motion for preschoolers. So enjoy that. It's frustrating, but it's a good frustrating. You can use all different colors of paper. You can use different textures of paper, newsprint, tissue paper, construction paper, printer paper. It will all cut different for them. Some paper cut or hole punchers are easier than others to use. Some are a little stickier than others. You can get a couple and let them try and tell you which one is easiest for them. And you might be surprised at which hand they use. They might have to use two hands for a while till they get the hang of it. Can they sort those dots after they've cut them? Can they make a picture with their dots with using glue sticks? Oh, this was one of my favorites. So this one's called Do You Want to Build a Snowman? And you might just have to break out into song when you do it. Do you want to build a snowman? All right, so it's just a baby bottle with cotton balls in it with a silly face and buttons on him. And inside the bag, used to be a pair, oh there it is, a tweezer. And so, do you want to build a snowman? You have to get all those cute cotton balls into the bottle to build the snowman. It's much warmer than actually building a snowman. Can they push him down in? What hand are they using? Can they twist the snowman's hat? Which hand do they pick up the snowballs? They can use their pincher grip and just use their hand to pick up the snowballs and put them into the bottle. Can they release the snowballs with the tweezers? Can they release with one hand? Do they need to use two hands? Sometimes they need. How can they do it differently? Can they get the snowballs back out and to do it again? Do you want to build a snowman? Come on, let's go and play. Okay, Play-Doh, 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 Play-Doh. I can't say enough about Play-Doh. But I want to tell you something that most people don't think about. So Play-Doh is so good because it strengthens that muscle right in here. So anytime you can squeeze, remember those tennis balls? Anytime you can squeeze Play-Doh, it's really good. So squeezing Play-Doh is super great. This Play-Doh is super old. I'm not going to get out. So squeezing Play-Doh, but the next best thing is to roll a snake of Play-Doh and then give them a pair of scissors. And these are those fancy cutting scissors that you can use these, or you can use the scissors without blades. They work in Play-Doh too. But can they cut their snake? It's super fun, and I think they'll enjoy it. Which hand are they using to cut? Do they have to use two hands? Are their thumbs up? This child looks like he's using one hand to hold the snake. We call that the helper hand, and one hand to use the scissors. And you can see this preschooler does not have thumbs up, so he's going to need help getting his thumb up. Okay, tongs, tongs, tongs. Like if you go to the dollar store, oh, here's a white box. Don't we all have a Clorox white box now? These are just wooden blocks, old-fashioned colored wooden blocks, and a big pair of tongs. So can they pick up the blocks and get them into the bucket? Can they get them into the bucket with the little lid on? Ooh, this one's a little tricky. You gotta angle it, you gotta turn it. Turning it. That one should be easy. The lid fell off, but having a lid on sometimes makes it a little more challenging to get them in. The next cool thing about this is that you can do what I call building block blueprints. So you can build a tower and then say, can you build one just like me? Now maybe you have enough blocks that they really can. I don't. So if I use a red rectangle on the bottom, use those words, red rectangle and an orange triangle, can you build with a red rectangle? Maybe you have an orange one. And an orange triangle, just like mine. So can they mimic you? Can you build a structure that has 3 blocks together and then they copy it, really super important for them to be able to learn to copy. If you build 2 blue on the bottom and 1 yellow square on the top, can they copy you and make a building that has 2 blue on the bottom and 1 yellow on the top? And then can they do it for you? You have them build you a structure and then have them ask you to reconstruct their blueprint. We call this reach for the blocks, because one of the fun things to do with this is then lay on a chair, put your belly on a chair and put the bucket on the floor and reach to grab those. You might put them way far away from them, so they have to really reach their arm up and get it into the bucket. Reach for the blocks. So here it is. So it can be just on the floor, or you can really change this up by moving the bucket to a different location, a different height or angle. Which hand are they holding the tongs with? Can they tell you the names of the colors of the blocks or whatever you're putting in there? Can they make a pattern? Can they get them can they reach over your head? Maybe you've got the blocks on a table way high up that they have to reach up to and then drop down. So all those up, over, higher, lower, all those vocabulary words. Reach for the blocks. Okay, this was always a favorite with the boys. This is called nuts and bolts, and that's literally what it is. Nuts and bolts. So it's a whole bunch of nuts and bolts, and can they get them on? You have to find the right nut to go on the right bolt, and then that twisting motion to get them on. Here's a big fat one. Do you think it can go on the same nut? Nope, it doesn't go on the same one. Here's a teeny tiny one. Oh, that one doesn't. You can't wind that one on. But here's a tiny little one. Oh, this one. This is a wing nut. And actually, sometimes when you go to the hardware stores, they'll just give you these kinds of things. Tell them what you're using it for. I got all this for free. Teacher perks. Nuts and bolts. You want to take it another step further, you can build something, but we just like taking it apart back and forth. Okay, this one's called Marble Drop. Here's the picture of Marble Drop. So it's a plate of marbles, plastic spoon and a water bottle. My plastic spoon just broke. So take the plastic spoon. Can they scoop up a marble? Do they need 2 hands to scoop it up? This is a little bit like the bell in a bottle, but the marbles are a little more slippery, so they have to go a little bit slower to get them into the hole. Anyhow, which do they hold the bottle? If you hold the bottle, it helps steady it a little bit. I got the helper hand. The one that's not moving is the helper hand. Can you scoop more than 1 marble? You need to use your finger to scoop them in. Can they hold them in and get them in? Can you count the marbles? How could you do it differently? How could you make it easier? How could you make it harder? Marble drop. This is just a simple, we call this the straw slide. And it's similar to the Q-tip slide. But remember all those plastic straws we chopped up into little pieces? This is perfect for that. So this is just a Parmesan container, and I've got coffee stirrers and chopped up straws. Do I use my pincher grip? Can I open that flap that has the hole? Which hand am I using to put it into the holes? Pink, blue, green, yellow. That's the kind of fun thing about straws. Is this one easier to get in or harder to get in? Oh, it's harder when it gets stuck in another one. You kind of have to move it around. Can you count the straws? Can you sort them by color? Straw slide. Not to be confused with the cha-cha slide. Okay, this one's called the Q-Tip Pipe Cleaner Color Sorter. And it's just a Pringles container that I have a lid that I've colored those paper ring protector circles. So I have a red, green, orange, and yellow. And then I've just taken Q-tips and painted them different colors. Now you can use teeny tiny pipe cleaners too. There's a red pipe cleaner. Or you can paint a Q-tip red on both sides with just regular paint or a marker even. And then the container's gone. But so can they match the right Q-tip with the right color? So there's a yellow or red one in the red hole. And then can they put a green one in the green hole? And a yellow one in the yellow hole, etc. An orange one in the orange hole. Ta-da. And so once they get them this far, they might have to push a little harder. This was just hole punched with a hole puncher through the plastic. And so it makes it a little bit smaller than the actual Q-tip, so they'll have to push a little harder. There you go. Which hand are they using? Are they using a pincher grip? Did they push them all the way through? Did they use the matching holes? Can they use the matching holes? Okay, lots of fun things to play with pennies. So here's a little boy stacking pennies with his fingers. See that pinching motion? And here's one sliding it into, this looks like the lid of a can of some sort. So I have just an old container that I sliced a hole in. So the first thing is, can they stack the pennies on the table? Stacking the pennies. Maybe they can stack more than one. And then, with the lid on, can they snap the lid on? And can they get the pennies into the piggy bank-like mechanism? Which hand are they using? Are they using their pincher grip? Can they count them? You can also use a little medicine cup to make it stack, because then it's not quite as stable. Kind of fun. Lots of sorting in these bags. You can see I've taken fine motor and then added math concepts to them. All the counting and the sorting, those would be math concepts. So I have all these red, green, and blue items, all things from the dollar store. So there's these trivets, green, red, and blue. There's some silly erasers, green, red, and blue. Can they sort them by color? You can't see, but I am sorting them by color. So there's a little sticker, a red sticker, green sticker, blue. There are pom-poms of different sizes. There's the blue one. Green one's a little bit bigger. Red one's super big. Felt. And then a red pincher, a green pincher, and a blue pincher. So can they sort them? Can they put them in piles of colors? Can they see which color has the most? Can they pinch each item? 1, 2, 3. Oh, this one's tricky. He's hard to get on the clip. Little elephant. Oh, he's hard to get off too. I have to help him off. And then 4. So sorting and pinching with variety of color of things. You also, if you get like a larger sized item, you can lay these on the table and then say, now we can sort them on top of the flower. On top of is another good vocabulary. So then you put all the red things on top of the flower. That helps them to sort and to visualize the sort. And then they can count each how many objects are on each flower. And these can even be sorted instead of being used as pinchers. Can they tell you about those objects? What is that little thing used for? Oh, it's used as an eraser when we write and we make a mistake. Okay, so lots and lots of these kinds of bottles. This is a old mayonnaise bottle. Ooh, I don't like mayonnaise, but it makes a perfect bottle for this game. And popsicle sticks or craft sticks. So, can they open that? That's a hard mechanism. That push with this thumb muscle right there. So there we are. Can they get the craft stick into the hole? This is a little tricky because you have to get it the right angle. So we call this the popsicle stick split. And they actually can line these up on the table too and count them before they even put them in. Can they stack them on top of each other? Can they make shapes? Can they make letters? You can make almost all the numbers and letters with some of these. You don't have curves, so you can't do B's and D's and C's, but you can make an A and a triangle. You can make a T and an I. So can they make some of the letters in their name? W, M. No O's. O's is a closed curve. Popsicle stick split. Bead towers. Pony beads are one of the best creations for preschoolers because you can put them on string, you can put them on spaghetti, you can also put Cheerios and Fruit Loops on spaghetti and also sort and pattern and count. This is actually a string that a preschooler made, and I just never undid it because I thought it was so cool because they used pony beads plus some straws. There's some patterning on here, but not all of it's patterning. Here's a pattern. And it can go on and on and on. And they can wear it and they can tell people about what they did with their pony beads. Pony beads, pony beads, pony beads. Really lots of fun. They can sort by color. You can get colored cups to let them sort. They can count. They can pinch. They can use tweezers with pony beads. Lots of fun stuff. All right, lots of Q-tips and straws. Run to Kroger. This one's called Q-tip and straw sort. So this is a super fun box because I found these neon colored pipe cleaners and neon colored straws. So can they match the orange neon straw and push the orange neon pipe cleaner through it? See how at the bottom they put they've done Q-tips with colored ends, but I used pipe cleaners because I think they're a little more colorful. So here's a green one through a green straw. This is a shorter straw, so it's easier. Uh-oh. What did I do? I put a yellow pipe cleaner through the blue. Talk about when they've chosen something that it's not necessarily wrong, it's just different. Here's a blue one through a yellow. Oh, look, these need to switch spots. Switch them. Yellow, blue. Can they sort by color? What hand are they using? Can they count the Q-tips? Can they count the pipe cleaners? Can they count the straws? Can they get the Q-tip or the pipe cleaner into the straw? Can they carry it without dropping it out? You have to carry it with being horizontal. Can they match the colors? Remember I said I got paper chips for like $1 for 500? Well, I'm going to use them a lot. This is just an empty tennis ball container that I've cut a hole in the top with poker chips. Pinching, dropping. You can stack, you can sort, you can count. They've used like some wooden coins. You can use a dice with this game. You can match the number of chips to put in with a dice, with the die. You can use a pincher to a tongs or a tweezer to pick up the poker chips, or you can use your fingers. But adding a dice in is always a wise thing because it teaches recognition of sets. When there's 2 dots, you know that there's 2. And your children will very quickly say it's 2 without having to count 1, 2. The more you play with a die or dice, the better they will begin to recognize sets, which is a pretty complex math skill, but one that they'll use for the rest of their life, recognizing small sets. So throw a dice in with all the bags. They'll make up their own game. Okay, earlier I talked to you a little bit about Play-Doh and how it's really good to strengthen the muscles in your hand. But modeling clay is sort of the next step because it's a lot harder to squeeze. It uses this muscle a little stronger than Play-Doh. So you can squeeze it into a ball. You can roll snakes. You have to really push and roll to get the snakes. This one will take a lot more effort. You can try and cut this, but it'll take a lot more muscle. You can use coffee stirrers and poke holes into it. You can use it to stand up, and then you can put pony beads on it. You can pattern the pony beads. Anything you do with Play-Doh, you can also do with modeling clay. Now, it's not as forgiving as the Play-Doh, so you want to keep this up because it's not as washable, and if it gets on your clothes, it makes a bigger mess. But when your child's ready for it, this is kind of the fun next step. So modeling clay, super satisfying because you have to really squeeze. And if your child is feeling especially stressed, sometimes using a muscle that has to really force them to work it will de-stress them. So enjoy some modeling clay found in your local hobby store. Okay, so these are kind of old-fashioned, and I don't even remember where I picked these up, probably at the dollar store. But these are those pop beads, and so they have one that has a pointy end and one that has a hole. These are really tiny, so they're hard to do. And you can find bigger ones in the stores, but that is a really hard motion for preschoolers, but a really good motion to strengthen their hands. Pop beads. They make a fun sound. And if their connectors are big enough, you can make jewelry out of them. I think they also make these like with trains and cars, and I might be able to get a bracelet out of it. Enjoy. This is probably an activity that you wouldn't think of doing at your house, but any time that you have a piece of paper, newspaper, tissue paper, construction paper, tag board or cardstock, which is a little bit thicker, cardboard, anything that they can tear, that motion is surprisingly difficult for preschoolers to do. And if you can tear colored paper, then they can use it as an art project. We call this collaging, when you take a whole bunch of different colors of paper and you tear them rather than cutting. But tearing paper, newspaper, tissue paper, junk mail, scrap paper, and that tearing motion, you'll be surprised how they do it. I'm not even sure I can recreate how they can't do it. But tearing is a really important skill to teach. And then anytime you have little objects, little tiny beads or buttons, anytime they're using those pincher mechanisms, corn, cereal, here's some beans, anytime they're pinching and picking up and putting into another spot, that's really good fine motor skills. Those are fine motor skill bags. I hope that some of them have encouraged you to try something new with your preschooler and to have some fun. The next thing I want to tell you a little bit about is everything you can do with a box of Fruit Loops. And that is all the things I've done with all of these bags. You can pattern, you can sort, you can count, you can string onto a string, you can string onto a piece of spaghetti, you can eat them, you can you can sort a pile of them, and oh, I have 4 green ones. If I eat 1 green one, how many will I have left? Let's check. Eat a green one. Oh, now I have 3 green Fruit Loops left. So lots of counting, lots of sorting, lots of patterning. We can make Fruit Loops go into a shape. You can draw a circle on a piece of paper and have them put the Fruit Loops onto a piece of paper in the shape of a circle or a square or a triangle. rectangle's the one that we work on the most at school because that seems to be the one that trips preschoolers up. Not sure why. So rectangle, rectangle, rectangle. So anything you can do with these bags, you can usually do with Fruit Loops. So get yourself a good bag of, or box of Fruit Loops and play, 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 and then enjoy the reward of your game together. I hope that this has been fun, and I hope that it encourages you. Thanks so much.